Hello and welcome to class today. Today is Thursday, October 4th, and we are continuing our work in Mission US, City of Immigrants. Before class really gets rolling, I want to make sure we have everything we need. You should have a charged Chromebook. You should have a pair of headphones. Hopefully they're yours, not mine, because the ear grease and ear fungus that grows on these earbuds can get disgusting this early in the year. So please just make sure you bring your own. That's hygiene. And then you should probably have the work that we began yesterday for the Mission US. So pause me now. Make sure you have headphones, a charged Chromebook, and the worksheets from yesterday. So that includes your unit checklist, which has the login information on it, and part 1. Make sure you have that, and then come on back. Okay, we're back. So you have gotten out your materials. You're probably still working on part 1. It might, if you didn't get far enough into part 1, it might be kicked you back to the beginning. Prologue part 1, make sure it gets done. Moving on. A couple things just to remind us of, and let me go ahead and share my screen with you. In Schoology, there is the folder. The folder has all of these worksheets that you need. So for down the road, when we submit the portfolio, which is all this work put together, if for some reason you lose a page, you can always find it. You can find the 5 things you know, the checklist, the prologue, part 1, part 5, part 4, part 3, part 2, Mission US link, and part 2 reflection. We'll add some more of those in. So today you're really working on wrapping up part 1 and the questions. You don't submit these questions. You do not submit the questions. You simply just answer them and you keep them in your binder until we go over them either as a group or they're just submitted for the portfolio, and then you can do that then. So I just wanted to cover part 2. Part 2 worksheets are up on the front table if a student finishes part 1. Only if a student finishes part 1 do they move on to part 2. So prologue part 1 questions need to be answered in completely in the best way you know, because remember the game starts changing for people in part 1, and then you'll move on to part 2. This is going to be just for the people that are moving ahead into part 2. Part 2, there are still questions with it. Make sure you're going through it. Before you can start part 2, you do need to read the checklist and see what you need to accomplish in part 2. What is your task? What is the story? If you do finish it and you're answering all your questions completely, you've got a reflection to do. I'm going to click on it right now so you can read it. So after completing part 2, Family First, reflect on this part of the mission and answer the following questions. In a family economy, multiple members of a family unit contribute to the household income. Family economies were extremely important for immigrant families, especially during the early 1900s in New York City. Who made up Lena's family economy in part 2? So who brought money in? What did your wages go towards in part 2? Why was it so important for everyone to contribute to Lena's family economy in part 2? How did the family economy impact your character? Did you have to give anything up? Were there chores you had to do? And that's what we're going to be looking at. That's only if you finish part 2. Remember, part 1 and the questions need to be finished before you pick up the questions for part 2 and do part 2 and then the accompanying reflection. So that's about all I've got. I'm not talking nearly as much as I did yesterday. If for some reason you are falling behind, I will be back tomorrow. We'll touch base. We'll get you on track. However, this is working individually. There really isn't any need for a ton of talking at all between different people because it's an individual work. Please make sure that you're staying on task. And the sub is, as always, if there is someone that is struggling to stay on task and do what they're asked, please feel free to leave me their name and I can take care of that when I get back. So that's what we're working on today. You're finishing part 1 up. You're getting the materials for part 2. You're completing part 2 if you can. If not, that's fine. We complete it on Friday. That's okay. And then we'll come back for that. And if you do get it way ahead and you're for some reason done with part 2 today, start working on that reflection that's in Schoology within the Mission US folder. And that'll be it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.